Welcome to the relaunch of Trainers Talks. My name is Donavan Almond. You better subscribe and like this video. One of the reasons we wanted to kind of do this is as we've grown, we've learned a lot of lessons and stories, and we want to be able to share them. So you're going to see a lot more content coming from me, coming from the team. And so we're very excited to be able to do this. But one of the things that are coming up in about a month, less than a month, is we've hit our 10-year anniversary with Calistoga Fit, kind of phase 2, and I'll explain what that all means. And coming up, we have this club night we're going to be doing, so check that out. The description of our club night in Calistoga is going to be in the description. So to kind of celebrate this relaunch, we wanted to kind of do a recap of the last decade. What took it to get where we were? How did we start? And where it's going. So for those who don't know, Calistoga Fit started technically in 2014. I know we're in 2026, but in the beginning it was just classes. I was working with a hotel, and they had a membership, and I was seeing over the years people who would visit Calistoga in the area who were looking for classes, looking for a place to work out. And when I left and started my own thing, I saw this kind of gap in the market and opportunity to provide classes to those who needed those classes, who were locals, but also people who were visiting. So we started classes. That went off pretty well, but it was kind of a slow coming along. And then we had the opportunity with the local resort, Calistoga Spa Hot Springs. They had this about 2,000 square foot space. It was a gym. It had carpet. It had orange wood floors. It had 1980s equipment. It was true vintage at its finest. It truly needed a facelift. And so this was back about 2015. We started to kind of just use it for classes. And then eventually we worked out a partnership and agreement for us to take over that space and make Calistoga Fit what most people know it as today. So it's come along so many different ways, but the lessons and the stories and the memories are kind of a big piece. So the thing I wanted to kind of talk about first was some of the lessons that we learned. I had a client who was a bank executive and worked in finance, and he became a business coach in his late 60s. And we traded training for the business coach because I knew I was going to open this gym in this space. And he sat down with me and he went through, okay, so Donovan, I know you're in the middle of developing the space. You're thinking about all your worries of like, will you have enough money? Will the facility work? Will this work? Will you be able to do the marketing? He's like, all those things seem like issues. He's like, the hardest part is the people. And I was like, I'm pretty good with people. And he's like, yeah, the hardest part is meeting people. And he was right by far. But he also didn't put one other part to it. What's cool about the people can be the hardest part, but it also can be the biggest highs. Seeing your other teammates kind of succeed has been one of the coolest parts of, growing your community with your membership, but also with your team. And one of the fond memories I have of like how hard we have worked to kind of create this community, it happened in COVID. COVID is one of the times where DWS and Calistoga Fit, we actually grew. And compared to most gyms at that time, they were shutting down, they were closed, they could only do online. And we were actually a step ahead and able to, because we were in a hotel, Calistoga Spa Hot Springs, they had some outdoor space that they weren't using, event space they weren't using that was outdoors. So we kept the ball rolling. And one of my proudest memories is seeing all the trainers that worked with us, including my wife, who was just starting up to be a real trainer at that time, all got new cars in 2020. And so I didn't get a car. I probably took a little bit of the hit on that one. But what was cool was that they all grew All the members were here. People weren't going anywhere, and we were just a step ahead in trying to service people. We were dragging wagons across the valley with equipment, meeting them at parks, meeting them in their backyard, meeting them in our outdoor spaces, and it was one of those memories that I'm very proud of how we accomplished it. So let's put some other memories I think I have in my head. I think we had our first club night. So we have a club night that's coming up, like I said earlier, April 9th. So check that out. Like I said, description is in the bottom there. But the first time we did the club night, we had this idea of like, okay, we close this gym normally at 8 or 9 p.m. What if we could do something where we could play explicit music and have a little fun? The lights are low. We have some glow in the dark things going on, and we did this thing where we had we created it and made it like instead of a workout club, it became a nightclub. And we had the velvet rope, we had the carpet coming in the door, we had the pretend bouncers, we had our mocktails, when they weren't quite a trend as they are now. And we had 3 classes kind of going on all in the same space. We had spin, we had yoga, and we had like a strength class. And just to see people kind of moving through that and that phase of stuff is still happening, it was really cool to kind of see people kind of get energized. Some of our older members, getting kind of hyped to Too Short and everything was kind of a fun memory. Um, the next memory is the 30-day challenge. So the 30-day challenge kind of started, we've been doing that for nearly a decade now. We're kind of approaching our 10th year with the challenge. And that started with me and one of our trainers, Tara, at the time. I was like watching the movie Batman versus Superman was coming out. And I'm into DC Comics and Marvel and stuff like that. And I was like, I want to kind of do something in the summer. And I was like, what if we had like a trainers kind of battle where we had teams and our members kind of competed, but we wanted people to move. And it turned into a beast. It became an opportunity where we had some members who were traveling for work. They were in Japan. They were racking up points in different time zones. And it has turned into where we've done the Olympics version. We've done we did the music version. We've done all these different versions of the challenge, and it's really kind of pulled some of our trainers along. It's really connected the community even further. And I think it's one of the reasons that led to us becoming best gym in Napa Valley. Several years in a row, I think 6 or 7, which was incredible. The next kind of memory I kind of come to fit was taking our first and kind of only true fitness retreat where we took about 10 members, our people, not everybody was a member, and we went to Cabo and we stayed at Esperanza Bears Resort. We kind of started the bar really, really high. This is a $1,000 a night hotel 8 years ago, but I was already doing some work with Esperanza, and it was just, and he's like, what if we could take this kind of experience and do it? And it was a real push for us at the time. Most people don't know that, but it was a push to kind of make that happen. But it was so much fun, and if me and my wife didn't have 4 kids, maybe we would have done another one. And maybe as they get older, we will do more of those. What other favorite memories? I think my wife and I we kind of put this together. I mean, when we were opening, she was still working for Carneros Resort as a marketing director. And we just had our 4th child, Dominic, and I was trying my best to pull her in full time. And I'll say this story. When she came, when I was talking about this gym and everything, she didn't know we were going to own it. She thought we were just going to partner with the hotel and maybe do some personal training services. And it wasn't until the equipment was ordered and everything was on the way that she was like, wait a minute, we're like doing this. And I just had, I just had a baby a month ago. And so I was like, yeah, I thought we had this. Is one of those classic marriage situations where you thought you communicated something and it didn't communicate, it didn't come through the same way. But she truly embraced it. And then she kind of jumped on during that summer when she was on maternity leave to kind of get us up and running, get our marketing right. Um, and she started teaching some classes once she was, through the back end. And she kind of realized that this was something that she wanted to spend on. And one of my fond memories is like when we did our first photo shoot to get ready, is seeing my kids in the Calistoga Fit gear. It was kind of cool to see that something that me and my wife sat down and created turned into something that our kids could support and be a part of. And that one's probably the best personal memory. The other kind of important thing is it's not even a memory. It's just the relationships that you build with individuals, um, people who are new to the industry, like Michael. Scala was new to the industry. We kind of pulled them in right around our first club night. Um, I mean, we've had Jen, we have had Tara, we've had several different people, and they've gone and grew in their own ways and stuff like that. But and then you kind of go to the members. I mean, like the members and the relationships that we've built with the membership. I mean, it's really truly a family kind of thing. And outside of people just getting stronger in the fitness side of it, I really think our community has taken. I kind of had the idea of making it a positive space, but the community has really taken it to another level, to the point that, we've grown and we're in Yountville Fit, and we have that, and we have other growth plans kind of coming up in the next year. So I want you to, if you've ever been a part or supported Calistoga Fit, cheers to you. Thank you for your support. And I look forward to seeing you here. Subscribe and like for future conversations. I touched on it, but what truly inspired me to start Calistoga Fit, I think the big point, the first initial reason when it was just classes was I in the hospitality sense, I don't like saying no if there's a possibility. And I was finding myself saying a no a lot when I worked at Solage, and people from the outside couldn't come and use the facility or come to class or drop in. So I saw that as a first part. But then the second part was there was a culture piece of like really putting the members and my clients first that I didn't quite have the control that I felt was needed to take that to the next level, and how important I felt that was. And so what truly inspired that was, well, a necessity of having 4 kids that you need to support. So I felt like I need to create that. I think the other thing that inspired it is that when you have clients that are from this area, a lot of them are business owners and have created something from the ground up. And I just really wanted that opportunity. And that was always an inspiration when I moved out to California since 2007, before I even started with Solage, was to eventually have my own space that I could really culture and grow. The biggest thing that has changed is I came in right at the precipice right at the beginning of when fitness was a necessity in resorts and hospitality. I would say just before 2005, you still could go to a nice hotel and resort, and having a nice gym there wasn't quite a requirement. And it was just starting to happen. And I would say it wasn't until like 2015 that it like really flipped, where you had to have a nice space. And I already had this 7 to 10 year experience working in that industry that I felt like it's definitely given me a leg up when it comes to having my niche. I would say the other things that's changed with the fitness industry is more internet, Instagram based. It's kind of gotten people, it's elevated people, which is great, but it's also, it puts out a lot of false information out there, especially for somebody who went to college for exercise physiology. Um, the 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 way my philosophy has changed, I think also naturally, I think every trainer goes through this who's done this for some time, is that as your body changes, your philosophy changes. As you get stiffer, as you have your own kind of changes in your body or your lifestyle. Like as I got kids, I had more understanding with people who had kids. Um, and also there's like a deepening thing. The more I've kind of gotten to the point where I'm working 6 days a week in the office, and I'm working other days too. And that came from when I went to Esperanza one time. This is kind of an interesting story where I was consulting for Esperanza in Cabo, this really lovely resort down there. And the spa manager, I was talking to him. I was like, what's your day? What days do you have off? And he's like, I have Tuesday off. And there was like a pause, and I was like, oh, you only have one day off. And it kind of opened my mind, as like, I could potentially do that if it made sense. And that's changed. But what's happened is I do still to today, I do about 7 to 9 training sessions a day. And you take that depth of information, and I tackle people who have hip replacements to athletes to professional athletes coming back from injury. And you take all that knowledge, and it's just like, it's grown my spectrum of how I can coach, teach, share with my own team, and how to grow and enhance the customer experience. So I think just the depth of knowledge has really grown as I've grown and as I've aged a little bit. Ooh, that's a good question. What separates a gym from that lasts and a gym that doesn't? I think the first thing, it starts from up top, um, is how much does the owner really love what they're doing? And do they have a vision that outlasts most people's vision? There's a lot of patience that's involved. I'm I have a this, like I said, a lot of lessons and teachings come from different clients. I have a client that eventually I probably will have. I'm going to coach him into the podcast, but he's a restaurateur. He has had his first restaurant. It's been open for 60 years, and he's no longer there day to day at all. He kind of stopped that about 15 years ago. He lets his team run it, but his vision was always, take care of the customer will take care of you. And I think that mantra, some owners and some brands are more concerned about the lifestyle that they get from the other way around, versus thinking, take care of the client, the customer, and they'll take care of you. And I think because of that, that's kind of baked into our DNA. And you can feel the joy when you walk into our spaces, and I feel very proud of that. I I believe our team really loves working here, especially our core team that are here day to day. And I think a lot of that is, hey, we're all on the same page. As a client and a member, I want you to live longer, so you stay a client and a member longer. We're all aligned on that, and we want you to live as long and healthy as possible. And there's no catches. That's what it is, and we want to do it in a positive space as much as we can. So the vision for the next 10 years with Calistoga Fit, I think there's going to be some shifts in how our space will look. I definitely have some plans that I'm working on for that. I'll say this is, I haven't said this much, but I'll say this out loud. A lot of people are worried about AI and where AI is going to disrupt the world. And, it's the same thing. Like people said, oh, Peloton's going to take over in COVID. And, they're not going to want to come to gyms. I think that just like the gig economy was popular in 2010, I think this next era is going to be the guide era. I think there's going to be opportunities where you're using AI, you're using technology, but you're bridging that gap of having a true human connection with your guide or your trainer, and they're taking you through ways to enhance your longevity through the right supplementation, through other medical services, to the actual physical component of your training, and guiding you through that in a way that's very customizable. And so I will just say that that is where the vision is going. I can't give you too much more than that.